total shit show.
So we shot this episode a couple of weeks ago while we were back in Letchworth Garden City visiting our families for Christmas. We thought we'd go out and take some pictures around our hometown. We went out into the countryside. So in this episode it's me with the Mamiya. We've got Chris, who's a photographer. He's joining us with his Pentax. And our friend Billy is also joining us, and we're going to take some pictures of him. So enjoy the episode and stick around till the end, where we're going to talk about the cameras and the results. mentioned at the beginning of the video, we're just going to take a few minutes to talk about some of the shots we got back, talk about the cameras, and yeah, so I'll start. I think for me the big difference and obvious difference between the two cameras, which are to an extent quite similar in terms of the results, I think probably the biggest thing for me is the portability of the Mamiya. I think the results, I was really pleased with them, but I think the ability that Chris had to be able to move around, get shots easier, quicker, and as a result I think he got probably at least 10 or 20 more shots than I did, just because he had it ready on hand. And
yeah, the ability to slightly and quickly reframe is obviously a huge advantage of the Pentax in that little situation, which kind of gave us some more behind the scenes stuff of you shooting and some slightly differently framed shots, which is quite nice to see in the end results. Not to say that either of them work better or worse than each other, I don't think, generally. Just the flow of the shoot is a different thing when using those two bodies.
So I think I shot some black and white Ilford's XP2 at the beginning, which I think came out quite nice. When in post I've sort of edited that a little bit, just brought up the contrast a little bit. I think the XP2 for me is a little bit flat. I like to just sort of tweak that a little bit, so
bit of punch to it.
Yeah, so I did that afterwards. Not too much, but just enough. And then I shot some portrait when we were up in the hills, which again didn't do too much to it, but I sort of, for me, where the scans that I've got back from the lab were a little bit too green for me.
Yeah, a bit cold.
Yeah, because there was quite a lot of grass and trees and things. I brought the green down a little bit on that, but apart from that, kind of left them as they are, which was cool.
Yeah, they came back nice. I was shooting portrait as well, so obviously expecting to get quite similar results, but sent it to two different labs to get processed and scanned, and got back two slightly different results in terms of the balance of colours and tones. Mine came back a bit warmer, a bit more creamy, I think, in the highlights, which looked quite nice. They both look good, but obviously slightly different sort of widths of colour, I suppose. Yeah, there's a couple of shots that work quite well. There's quite a nice tight shot that I took with the Pentax, which is it's a 105, which is sort of a 50mm equivalent. Down at like 2.4, which is super shallow. You get his eyes, a little bit of the nose, and then the bridge of his nose. Hair starts to drop out, which is quite cool. There's another shot down by some overgrowth in some more kind of autumnal colours, even though we're sort of in the right middle of winter. There's still some yellowy oranges kicking out, which contrasted quite nicely with what he was wearing.
Yeah, one of my favourite ones is in the same position. When Billy was sitting on a tree branch, I think that for me was quite nice as a bit of a wider shot. And then possibly my other favourite is probably the black and white just at the start. I got quite a nice portrait of him sitting by the water fountain, which was nice.
There was a nice one at the top in the black and white as well. I think that was that on the hills? Where he's kind of in this sort of position, and there's a little bit of wind, and it's just caught the bottom of his jacket. And everything else is quite locked down and tight around him, and then the jacket is just flowing out, and it just kind of breaks up the continuity of the framing, and the fact that it's very structural and black and white and orchestrated, and then you've got this little moment of kind of spontaneity, I suppose.
Yeah, I really like. I think you had one on the in the town in front of the cinema, looking up. I think that was I really like that one as well, with the sort of the Art Deco cinema behind.
Yeah, like the title.
Screen,
yeah. I think that would have been good with a slightly wider lens as well, to get a little bit lower and have a bit more of the background and surroundings and the look, but you're kind of restricted with that 50mm, but it's come out quite nice.
So hopefully you enjoyed this episode. We've got another one coming up soon, which we've we just recently shot, which is in London. We're doing a similar sort of thing. Chris has come back for that one as well. We're basically going out in the streets, trying to sort of doing a bit of street photography, but also trying to find some interesting people to photograph and take their portraits. So stay tuned, like and subscribe. Oh, leave a comment. Oh!
I'm not going to use that.
I think we could.
You really should.